studies have been done, and it shows that women typically don't think that they're ready for public office, don't think that they're ready for an executive or a high elected position until they've reached a certain milestone in their life of age or particular professional accomplishment. And yet you'll see young men running at 30, 32, 28, and without a second thought. And so I think a couple of things. One, with the election of Donald Trump, I think a lot of people became aware that apparently, quote unquote, anybody could do it, and there are certainly people, particularly of the Democratic persuasion, that felt if the bar was that low, then certainly they were well above it. And so you see people who maybe had a misconception about thinking that you had to have some super duper resume in order to be an elected official, realizing that what you need is good people with life experience and some level of success in one of the many paths of life. And so you see women now saying, hey, I could do that. So that's one of the things I think you see is going on. And the other is that women are beginning to realize, because they're seeing on the national level and the state level, we don't have a single woman elected in a statewide position in Georgia. Only 22% of our elected officials are women, and yet 52% of our population is women. And so I think with, you mentioned the 2016 election, the election of Donald Trump, some of the language, some of the discussion around his policies and how he publicly would state he felt about women in certain circumstances caused women to think, hey, wait a minute, I don't really see myself being represented here. And when they hear those types of numbers, that we're 52% of the electorate, 52% of the population, 22% of the elected officials, we realize there's a disparity there, and I think that motivated a lot of people. You know, all of this is broad generalization because so much of leadership is based on your personality, right? But to broadly generalize related to gender, women put a very high value on relationships. Women put a very high value on bringing consensus and solution making. And those tend to be traits that are doing very well right now with the complexities of the governing problems and challenges that we're facing locally, state, and nationally. So yeah, it seems like women are particularly well adept for this moment in time, and I think they're seeing how desperately we as a community are in need of them. The other thing, talking about community building, you know, it used to be if you just raised a bunch of money and could get on TV, then maybe you could win an election with a really witty commercial. Well, these days, very few people are getting their news from the television, getting their commercial information news about candidates from television. And it's really about these broad constituencies who can vouch for someone's bona fides, someone's ability to understand what their day-to-day life is like. And that's really what people want to know about their elected officials, is they want you to know them. You know, they really want you to know them and their life. And women tend to be very well embedded into their community, into their churches, the relationship issue that I was mentioning earlier, into the schools. They know those folks. They have relationships with them. They understand their lives. And that's what people right now are putting a premium on, is if I elect you, will you take the information you have about me, my life, and my plight, and take that in the decisions you're making at the legislative or executive level? Yeah, I would say the only thing holding him back is probably self-doubt. So I would say you can do this. If you care, if you're concerned, if you're respectful of other people, you are 99% of the way there. And so find what it is that you have done and done well. Promote that and translate it into how you can use those talents and those skills to be a good elected leader. People are desperate for someone who cares about them, and I think there's women out there that are particularly well adept at that.